the NFC South champions, which included one year where they didn't have a winning record. Atlanta will try and win its division in consecutive years for the first time in franchise history in 2017. But will they? That's the big question. So we now looking at another edition of Offseason Odds here, focusing in on the NFC South. Our experts at the FPI, the Football Power Index, have weighed in. It's time for Teddy and Field to tell you if they believe what we're seeing from the FPI. And let's start, ladies and gentlemen, at the bottom. Or we'll start with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers.
10,000 simulations?
Yep, we're doing Panthers acquisitions. They got Captain Monerlin. They did very well there. What was, and back in again. And then they drafted Christian McCaffrey. Obviously 8th overall. So Panthers' offseason projection to win is 29%. So Panthers are at 29%. Teddy, odds you give them.
Okay, I'll start them, Field.
Okay,
right,
Teddy, all you, buddy.
I'm right around with the FPI here. I'm going 30. I like 30.
30 with an umlaut.
Right, whatever that is. I'm going to go 30%. I want to see how Kuechly and Davis are. I mean, Davis is 34 years old now. Kuechly, is he one concussion away where there's a lot of fear regarding him. So they are the linchpins that make the defense go. I know there's Cam and a lot of things going on the offensive side of the ball, but the defense with those two linebackers, I'll be watching their health.
I'm going to go a little bit lower than Teddy here. I'm going at 18%, and they've got a potentially excellent front seven with plenty of big bodies in the middle, an excellent linebacker group when healthy. But I'm legitimately concerned about Cam Newton. 52.9% completion percentage last year. We talked about it during yesterday's show. Now dealing with the partial rotator cuff surgery. I think that's something that has to be monitored as we get closer to the beginning of September.
And don't take as many hits.
Can't do it.
Use what Teddy Bruschi says.
Yes.
Use Christian McCaffrey's legs as your check down. Don't make this be your check down and expose yourself to more hits. Okay, now we move on to the New Orleans Saints. The Saints picked up Adrian Peterson. Of course, that's a crowded backfield there now. And they also went Marshawn Lattimore, the safety out of Ohio State. They obviously have to address that secondary. The FBI gives them just a 17% chance. Teddy, what about you? What odds?
A little bit lower here for the Saints. I'm going 15 because there's so many things that have to work out well for them. The defense has to be better than it was, and that's a lot. And that's a lot asking from them. And also, Adrian Peterson and Ingram, can they both stay healthy and the running game be established and to where they were a top 6 team? They were 6th in the league when they won it. So can they reestablish that? Those are two huge ifs. Defense and running game with the new running back. We'll see if they can do it.
Yeah, I'm going lower than Teddy once again here. I'll go with 10% for the Saints. 3 straight years of 7 and 9. The hard part about this division, all 4 teams have a quarterback with a massive ceiling. If each quarterback plays his apex, they could be MVP-type players in this league. My big concerns for the Saints are they've made some reparations on that defense. The secondary should be better. Linebacker, they added a bunch of bodies, Manti Te'o and A.J. Klein included. I'm just not sure they have that quarterback of their defense that can stabilize things in the middle.
The last 3 years, the Saints defense has been the worst in the NFL combined. Most points, most passing yards, and biggest opponent's QBR. So that's what they've got to fix. They got to find a way to stop somebody.
Big
problems.
Yeah.
7 and 9 the last 3 seasons and no postseason appearances. Now we go to Tampa Bay. Listen, they went and got Deshaun Jackson, another big wide receiver out there. So it gives Jameis Winston, not big wide receiver, big play wide receiver.
Yes.
And then they got O.J. Howard in the draft. So they really have 2 tight ends because Cameron Brate played pretty well for them last year, Ivy Leaguer. So they've got 2 tight ends. They got a couple of big play wide receivers. They like Jameis. Not so sure about the running game at this point. Buccaneers, FPI gives them a 14% chance to win the division. Teddy?
I'm boosting that up.
Yeah.
I'm boosting that up to 25.
I like that.
To 25 right there because I think that defense, which was number 1 in the league on 3rd down, which is situationally, I admire good situational defenses. 3rd down and also taking the ball away. This is a defense led by Levante David in there in the middle linebacker position. A lot of good young players. I think they can do some great things.
I'm going with 22%. For some reason, I'm still stuck on these odd numbers.
Well, you just got the 8 and 2 to round it up.
That works, actually.
I just go by 5s. Makes it easy.
It makes it a lot easier.
Zeros. Yeah, so for the Bucs,
don't overthink it.
They are a big play waiting to happen on offense. As John Jackson, you mentioned him, Trey. No team in the NFL besides every team but the Bucs last year had at least one 50-yard reception. The Bucs had 0.
Yeah.
Sean Jackson had 4 by himself.
By his own
defensively. That's right. Brent Grimes, he was incredible last year. Really ridiculously high level of play for a guy who's almost 35 years old.
Okay, that leaves us with the Atlanta Falcons. The team, of course, not only won the division, won the NFC, and came also close to potentially winning the Super Bowl. Big offseason acquisitions on defense. Dontari Poe comes over in free agency from Kansas City, and Takk McKinley attacking off the edge out of UCLA in the draft. Dan Quinn trying to build that defense that he had in Seattle once again in Atlanta with edge rushers and smart safety play and fast linebackers. 40% FPI says. Teddy, what do you say?
I'm going down. I'm going down to make it go 100 here.
I was about to say it had to be 30.
Math. Instead of like off-season odds, it should be like off-season math.
Yeah.
But I tried, and I made it.
You did.
30%. This defense is good. I like how they have it at all 3 levels. It's almost like a great young big 3 with Vic Beasley, with Deion Jones, and also Keanu Neal.
Keanu Neal.
Yes.
So close.
I got that right.
So close.
Yes.
So close.
So the Falcons defensively, the only thing for this team, I want to hear you stop even mentioning the last Super Bowl and just move on totally. And every time you're asked that question, don't answer.
We're on to 2017.
We're on to 2017.
We're on to 2017.
That's what I want to hear.
All right.
Because it's hard to get over it, and it's going to be hard, and they are going to learn this year.
The way they lost it, it's going to be hard.
A coin flip is what I'm saying for the Falcons.
You don't seem to think it's going to be that hard.
No, I think they were a year ahead of schedule last year defensively. Teddy mentioned some of those players on defense, and then offensively, they still have the human cyborg, Julio Jones, and the offensive line got tougher and more physical last year. I think the evolution of guys like Austin Hooper on offense, the tight end, and the continued ascent of guys like Deion Jones and Keanu Neal and other players, even Takk McKinley as a rookie, make this Falcons team not just a favorite in the NFC South, but maybe the favorite in the NFC as a conference.
They got to come out the gate swinging.
Yes.
They got to come out 3-0, 4-0, something like that. Because if it's hard for them in the beginning and they go maybe 2-2 with all of the pressure, that's when you remember everything that you went through and like, oh, now we got to dig ourselves out of a hole again. We don't know if we can. They better come out fast in September.
Yeah, I agree with you. We'll find out early whether or not they're really past what happened last year. As Dan Quinn said on Insiders when they were